episode where first of all, it's 2020. I can't believe it. 2020. First show of the year. And we have Amy Herberger with us. Amazing.
Yay.
Welcome, Amy.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, guys, we were playing around with the sound. It might be me. I did get a new computer, but I haven't changed my setup yet to move down to the new computer. So I have a computer in a different room right now. I'm still on my old laptop. So we'll see. I don't know who the sound is coming from, but we're having echoes and things. So we'll do our best. But that's why we're a couple minutes late. We were trying to fix the sound quality. But anyway. So welcome back. Thank you guys all for being here. We have so many people in the chat. So Amy, you really brought a big crowd with you today.
Oh, great. That's great.
So thank you, Brad. Thank you, Ian, Teresa, Joanne, so many people. So Christina, welcome back. I know you just came back from a vacation.
Yeah, first time I think in my entire life, working life, that I've ever taken 3 weeks off of work for vacation. So it was weird. It was needed, but it was weird. So it was a promise that I made to my family and friends a few months ago that, because I was working a lot, as we all do during Q4. And I said, okay, come Christmas, I'm going to take a few weeks off. And they held me to it. So.
Oh, well, we are so happy to have you back. We definitely all missed you. So
yeah, it's weird being away for 3 weeks. You feel like you've been gone forever. There's the merch world moves so fast,
Yeah.
And so.
Well, we're glad to have you back, but glad you got a nice vacation. And Amy, how about you? How was your vacation?
I didn't really take a vacation, but my daughter's home with me on break. She's here until next week, Wednesday, and then she flies back to school just so she can start getting acclimated with everything and beats Buffalo. Do you know what I mean? Before her next term starts. So, yeah, we've just been laying low and, taking the day as it comes. So.
Awesome. You must be so proud of her.
I am. So
her first year, right?
Yes. So we survived the first semester, or I did at least. But
yeah.
I know she's doing very well. She's really adjusting to the city and meeting new people and the course load and everything else. So I'm happy that she's happy.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, Amy, you have been such an inspiration to so many people in the merch community. So I just really want to thank you for everything you've done, and just thank you for being here. And we usually just kind of start with just a background of you. Okay. So you have just done so well with print on demand. How did it start? How did you find out about merch? Did you have a graphic design background?
I mean, I've been drawing since I was a little kid. That's pretty much how I spent my, that's Willow.
Aww, I was wondering.
Yeah, seriously, she gets really pissed off. But anyway, no, I've been drawing since I was a little girl. That was how I spent any free time that I had. My mom wanted me to go to school for art. I said I don't want to be a broke, starving artist. So I went to school for business. Worked in the corporate world up until 2011 when I was downsized. Took between my severance and my savings, because so many people in the mortgage industry were getting having reductions in force. I knew it was going to be coming eventually, so I put as much money away as I could, because it's just me and my daughter. You know what I mean? I couldn't be without the income plus my severance and unemployment. I looked into going back into the corporate world, but at the same time, I was well, let me see if I can do eBay full time, because I've been doing it since she was a year old, my daughter. And then it turned into me finding wholesalers, and I was specializing in Victoria's Secret pink for years. And then my supplier went dry, and that's not an easy product to, get obtain. So I started thrifting. I learned about drop shipping. I started doing a little bit of Amazon, and I met, I started following Chris Green, and then Chris Green kept talking about merch. So I signed up, put it on the back burner, uploaded like one shirt in November just because he kept like posting about it. And when I heard Daniel Caldwell's interview in January of 2016, where he was already making like 10K a month, I'm like, why can't I do that? So that's when I really, really started taking it seriously. So, and that's my merch story.
Amazing. I don't think I realized that it started with eBay and all of that. Maybe I did, and I just forgot. But so you were in the mortgage industry, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And you stopped in 2009, 11.
2011. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after the housing crisis, I got in during that time. So I don't know if you
Okay,
knew that. I was a manager at a bank,
okay.
and then all the loan officers were leaving because there was the housing crisis. And for some reason, I decided it was a good time to get in. And it ended up being okay because it was the beginning of refinances.
Okay.
So there was like several years where everybody was refinancing their house, and there was like streamline refinances and things like that. So I ended up having quite a few good years there because there was like hardly any loan officers. So,
I thought they were probably like they all lost their jobs probably for a while. But I actually
yeah.
looked at security and risk because I was like an office manager. I wasn't doing processing at the time. I have that in my background, but I had overseen 4 reductions in force. So I transferred out to IT and security in a different division. And then we got a new CFO. And the first thing he did was like cut heads. So even though I had the tenure with the company, I was still one of the first people in that division. So it was like last in, first out. So, but then I did the eBay thing and I did exceptionally well, like pretty much immediately fell on my face when I needed to have more than one supplier. I found that out the hard way, but it was a really rocky couple of years. I had just gotten my eBay business like back up to like a 6-figure a year business when merch came in. So it was like I did have the time to dedicate because I already had rebuilt eBay. So it was perfect timing. I just didn't think it would turn into this. So
It's been so exciting to see your journey, and I found out about it the same time from Chris Green, but I did not take action right away like you did. It took me. I was doing FBA, and it took over a year before I think I uploaded the first shirt right before a year because I think they started closing accounts down if it was over a year. I think I made it by like 2 or 3 weeks. I made the cut line of like just before a year. But yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you thought about merch when it first came out. Like, did you think it was going to be anything?
I'll be honest. I mean, honestly, yeah, I kind of did just because of Daniel's success, because I don't think he had been in POD prior to merch to begin with. And it's Amazon. Do you know what I mean? I think anything
Right.
that can mark their stamp on it, it's going to do exceptionally well. So I didn't see consistent sales till I don't know, maybe like March or April of 2016. So about, I don't know, 5 or 6 months in it when and I was a tier 500. I do remember that. But I still don't think we've even seen like a quarter of what's coming. So
Really?
I really believe that. I mean, we're only going on 5 years this year, which is crazy if you think about it. But I definitely think that there's a lot more coming our way, personally. So.
Wow. I'm so happy to hear that because sometimes I feel like I talk about merch so much and I'm like, am I crazy? Like everybody else is like not talking about it as much. So I'm really happy to hear that you think it's still pretty early on
I think
too.
it's definitely still a viable platform. I do suggest diversifying just because getting that additional money and then additional experience on other PODs will help you, you know what I mean, regardless of what happens with merch. So
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, so that's such good news. So merch is growing. I know you do KDP a lot too. So KDP, that's another way to diversify. It's still you still can use your print on demand skills, but it's on journals and books and notebooks and all that.
right, and that's like really endless too. I mean, when you really like think about how many interiors you can get out of one design,
Yeah.
it's like you could, I don't think, I think you could upload for 100 years and still never hit like every single possible interior. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something I hope people are jumping on if they haven't already. So
I think that's a very good point where I feel the same way, where I'm like, it's so limitless. Like, I can't even imagine. But so many people think that there's like a limit. Like, they feel like KDP is already getting saturated. They feel like merch is saturated. I feel like I just got tiered up to 10K not that long ago. And I'm like, I feel like I have enough designs to fill up hundreds of that, like 100K at least. So to me, it doesn't feel like I don't feel like there's any time I'm going to run out of designs or run out of ideas.
I always think like, who cares if it's saturated? I mean, I'd always, and I sound so repetitive saying it, but I always say like, who's to say your stuff isn't going to blow what's currently there out of the water? Like, I could care less. I could not care less how saturated a niche is, how saturated, a certain interior is on KDP. I mean, I'm dominating one particular interior on KDP that I really only started working on in May. Like my stuff pops up, you know what I mean? Like immediately, and I'm not adding ads to it. So like anybody can come in and swoop in, knock me off. You know what I mean? And like take my place on that first page. It's possible for everybody. So
Christina, I see you nodding your head. What do you?
Yes, I'm just taking it all in. Anytime Amy speaks, I'm just like absorbing it like a sponge. So she's one of the first people that I followed in merch. It was kind of a merch girl boss group and merch money, and those were the two areas. And it was just awesome to see, strong women doing well at this who didn't have like any of this experience before, that they had corporate jobs. So
right, or stay-at-home moms, senior citizens. I mean, anybody can do this. Like that's what makes it so amazing. So I agree.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting back here, just taking it all in, making notes. Yeah,
it's been so fun to watch both of you. Like Christina, I met Christina at our very first Columbus meetup, which by the way, guys, we're having another one on Saturday. If you haven't seen it, the link is in the description. But you have just started and now you've just blown up and grown so much. So neither one of you I ever hear like complain about anything. So do you guys feel like that is one of the traits of people that are successful, that they just don't ever complain about anything?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll take it back to the corporate world. I was just talking to one of my friends about this the other day. There always used to be that like group of, and I hate to say it, like old or middle-aged women. I mean, I'm middle-aged myself now too, but that were always griping and complaining that had never advanced. They were still stuck. But I can guarantee it's because either they didn't believe they could, they made excuses, or they were blaming other people. And I think that the people that get caught in that center by their own, by their own choices, end up getting caught in that negativity. That's just my personal experience. I think that you have to try to look at the good in everything. And I think that's what helps catapult your success, is looking for the silver lining, I guess, in a nutshell. So what about you, Christina?
Completely agree. I've kind of always been that way. It's like, I'm not going to waste my time complaining about things that I can't control. And I feel like if you focus on the negative, you miss out on so much. You lose time. It's not efficient. But if you can keep focusing on the positive, and it just, I don't know, I feel like it propels you forward. It's the right mindset to be in.
It's something you have to train yourself to do. Like when I was first self-employed, I had a couple of years where I would like freak out if I didn't have sales for a certain day, and I wasn't looking at the whole week, like with eBay. And I started saying, okay, well, maybe I might not sell a lot on Wednesday, but I'll make up for it on Thursday. Do you know what I mean? So as long as I was still looking at my overall weekly totals, it made everything, it reinforced that I was doing okay. And
Yes.
I mean, being self-employed, I'm sure you guys can understand. When you work for somebody else, you're at their mercy if you're going to get a raise, if you're going to get a bonus. Whereas now, I mean, we can upload the hell out of, stuff, mark things on sale and Etsy just to reap that additional income in. So I think we have more control over when we're doing these online ventures than you would anywhere else. So, and the positivity helps.
Yes. Yes.
I completely.
Yeah, it's completely agree. Yeah.
Yep, that's what I was going to say. Completely agree. And also, I think another thing, I mean, both of you had success so fast that you probably didn't have to do this, but for me, it took longer. And it never was a idea of like, oh, this must not work. It was like, what do I need to do to get better?
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people get stuck on. Like if it takes, 2 seconds to find success, they're like, oh, well, that platform doesn't work.
Right. Or they compare themselves to others because everybody has a totally different journey.
Yeah.
Some people that might be spelled for like a year and a half, all of a sudden, come out of the woodworks and they're like killing it. Like a lot of the girls did who moved from merch to really focusing on KDP. I mean, Ariana Marshall, she always did well in merch, but she took over KDP and she's, I mean, like destroying the platform. So,
And Ariana's watching tonight. So.
oh, hey. So,
congratulations, Ariana. I got to meet her. Where was it? Nashville. I got to meet her in Nashville. It wasn't even a meetup. It wasn't an official meetup, but she knew I was there. I was there for a bachelorette party.
Very cool. So. Very cool. But
sorry. I'm so sorry, guys, about the sound. we really apologize. Okay, what was the other thing we were just talking about? So KDP, not comparing yourself, that's a big one. And I know you always talk about that in the Girl Boss group, like never comparing yourself. We all started at different places. We're all on different journeys. Mm-hmm. Did you ever feel like there was a time where you were struggling in your business and you had to overcome self-doubt or, push through a hard time in your business?
Yeah, when I lost my supplier on eBay, it took me, you have to take in mind, I had to figure out how to thrift and do estate sales and not pick duds and, learn about drop shipping. It was a good like 2.5, 3 years where I was like holding on by this, skin of my teeth. And I did not want to go back to the workplace, but I knew I could do it. But it was a very stressful, couple of years in my behalf, but I just kept pushing. I was more active in the eBay Facebook groups at that point. So I was like listening to what a lot of the other bigger sellers had to say, and then same with Amazon, and just using that as guidance and as motivation, just to keep pushing me through. And I know my daughter's always been my biggest motivator, and I knew what I could make online. So that also based on my own experience and then seeing what other people were doing. So I just kept pushing. So yeah, definitely a lot of self-doubt and, shit, am I going to be able to make rent this month? Like it was really bad for, a couple of years. So
yeah, I think that's what's important for people to remember, because people see like the success now and they feel like, oh, well, it must be easy for her, or somehow she's different than me or something like that. And it's just not true. Like most people go through a period of time of struggle. Like I know very few entrepreneurs that never struggled.
Right. I think you have to fall on your face a few times and learn some lessons. Like now I will always have more than one supplier. Do you know what I mean? I try to have as many as possible. And even with merch didn't come easy to me either. It was a constant like snowball, where it was very, very little and then it would dip down. You know what I mean? It was a very interesting first year or so on the platform.
When I was first starting, when I finally actually got a shirt up, like my first month, I think I made, I forget what it was, like a $5 or something. Like it was very little amount. And I was so excited about merch, but I was talking to FBA sellers where you sell like thousands and thousands a week. So it was like I was trying to explain my excitement and they're like, well, how much are you making? And I'm like, how do I answer this question? And so it was like a while before I made any kind of money. And they're like, Helen, why are you still excited about this? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, don't you guys see? But sometimes you just have to like just put your head down and just don't worry about what other people think and don't worry about like if your results aren't good enough. I could tell like this was a big opportunity and I knew I would figure it out eventually. And I just kept going, even though all the FBA sellers were like, you've lost your mind. Like, you're not making any money. This is silly. Get back to FBA. And I'm like, no, I'm going to keep doing it.
And that's like another thing too. A lot of people have like people in their circle that are naysayers, maybe a spouse, you know, so forth. My mother, who if anybody knew her, like drop dead, that she was even this encouraging, but she's the one who told me like, you can do this. Which, you know, then and so she's very like she's retired now, but she grew, you know, worked herself up in the corporate ladder, you know, businesswoman, like job, you know, self-employment. I'm the first self-employed person in my family since my great grandmother. So it isn't normal, you know. It's you get a job, you get your benefits, and so forth. But my mom was the one person that said, "Yeah, you can totally do this." But I know so many other people don't have that support. So sometimes you have to just look at yourself and find it in yourself like you did. So,
yeah. So you just want to encourage everyone out there. Like you, first of all, you can do it. And second of all, if you are struggling, like we've all been there, whether in this business or other businesses. So once you started having success with merch, what was your days like? Like, did you keep doing eBay or were you completely focused on merch? What was your day-to-day like?
I was still doing eBay, but I'll admit, like after the first year, when the money was just really starting to come in, eBay kind of fell to the wayside. And I was spending like literally like sun up to sundown on merch, just uploading, designing, researching, just merch, merch, merch. So it was just a lot of hustle. And I'm refocusing myself this year because I took a lot of last year off to focus on other PODs to get back to basics with merch and spend more time on it.
So your first year, when did you hit 100K? I feel like it was very early. Like, was it your first year?
It wasn't.
Okay.
Let me think. I met, well, I spoke in Seattle in September of 2018. So 2018, I had 100K. I was at 10K forever. I believe it was tied into me crossing like the $1 million mark for total sales.
Wow.
So I think that's what it correlated with. And there were some rumors that it's because I knew people at merch, but I didn't meet anybody from merch until that September. So that was earned. But yeah, so it's 2018, like April or May.
Okay. I guess it feels like that was early on to me because I was kind of just getting into like merch because I really didn't do anything the first year. And the second year I did, you know, barely anything. Like I didn't really start till 2018, like really right before I started Merge Money is when I really started taking it seriously. Yeah, I had like just hit 2K tier before I started Merge Money, which was in April 2018, I think. Yeah. April. So you hit 100K pretty soon after that. I guess September, like you said. So 6 months after. And
April, May, I hit it. Yeah. So. And then I spoke in Seattle in September.
Oh, got it. Okay. And so to me, like I remember a lot of people were like, is that even true? Like, can anybody even do that? So it was cool that you kind of like broke the mold of what people thought was possible.
And I think there's definitely tiers higher than that. You know,
of course. Yeah, we're still so early.
Set your sights on and, you know, definitely something to grow towards. So
absolutely.
What are your goals with merch? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? Do you think you'll still be doing merch?
I think so. I enjoy it. It's relaxing to me. I mean, obviously I can do the same on like Etsy or KDP with the creative side, but I don't know, I love merch. That's my heart, I guess, out of all the PODs and I still enjoy going to work every day, even if I'm just like coming down the steps. So I definitely will still be merching. Um, God knows what it's going to look like, in 5 to 10 years, but I'll be here if it's here. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely growing with the platform. So and adjusting and pivoting and making the changes that are necessary as the platform continues to evolve and grow. So
What changes do you think will be necessary?
definitely, I think more artists are flocking to like actual artists are flocking to a platform. I think people need to focus more on quality than quantity, um, and just be like provide people with what they need in the niche that you're serving to, and understand that customer base. Um, and I really think that would be the most helpful.
So with quality, what like I know Patty's asking, what are your favorite tools? Is there a certain program that you use for designing?
Yeah, I'm on Photoshop
Okay.
right now. So I evolved from PicMonkey to GIMP to Photoshop. I'm learning Illustrator and then InDesign as well. And then, Procreate, I'm like dabbling in a little bit, but it's a very different world when you're used to drawing on like paper or canvas to doing it digitally. So that's something I'm working on, on the side. So, but Photoshop, I love it. I love it. I was very intimidated by it for months. And I put it off for a long time because of that. But once you start getting acclimated, it's pretty easy. So like anything else.
Yeah. I love how you keep pushing yourself to reinvent yourself and keep learning. Like you have never, I mean, I don't even know you that well, but the amount of time that I've known you, you've never stopped learning at all.
I agree. I think my grandpa always said, make sure you learn something new every day. So I'm definitely like applying that. Whether it's just reading an article, you know what I mean, or a quick post or somebody's comment on a post in a group. Yeah, I agree. Just keep learning.
And what's interesting to me is like I pick up from you that a lot of times things are hard for you. Like I
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
feel like you seem like everything would be so easy for you because you've reached such high heights compared to everyone else. But when you talk about things, you can tell it's really hard for you and you push through, which is so fascinating to me. I'm like, wow, like I assume everything comes easily to you. And then when I listen to you, I'm like, no, it's really hard for her. Every single thing you've done, you've had to fight for.
Right. No, exactly. It really is. I mean, I tried doing my first design on PowerPoint for merch. Do you know what I mean? That was like an epic fail. But so yeah, I'm everything really. I think anybody can say that about themselves. From the most part, that there's a lot of learning and growing and failing that you have to do to do well with something, I think.
Yeah.
But I feel like you also say like you're intimidated by things, which is like, how could she be intimidated? Like she's so great at everything. But it's like you were intimidated to start with KDP, like you were intimidated to learn Procreate, like you're just saying, and you push through. So I really think that is amazing. Do you have any tips for people when they feel like that? So when they feel like, okay, this is too hard for me, I'm intimidated by this, what do you do to push through that?
I always look at it, and I always tell my daughter this too. If she's struggling with something, like you had to learn how to walk, learn how to feed yourself. Do you know what I mean? And those things, learn how to drive, and those things were scary as hell at one point. But eventually, with practice and learning, and making some mistakes and errors and learning from that, you figured it out. So that's really what I keep in the front of my mind when I'm challenged with something. And I'm determined and I'm stubborn. You know what I mean? I like to say, no, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to like keep pushing until I figure this out, almost out of spite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just keep pushing myself that way. Like with Photoshop, I was teased mercilessly about using GIMP. And Photoshop really was intimidating for a long time. I could do like three like minor things, like write my text out. Do you know what I mean? Move a graphic, and now I'm like doing so much more because I've watched videos on YouTube or just practicing. So definitely just remind yourself that everything you know today at one point you didn't know how to do that. So that's my motivation. That's what pushes me through.
I love that.
Thanks.
Do you also feel like you what is I don't know the word. Like, because some people just identify, like, I know I say this about myself where I just feel like I'm not a graphic designer, or I say things like that. Like, I almost own it. Like, I'm not this. Do you ever do that? Or do you just say, like, I'm not this yet? Or, like, do you have any kind of like boxes that you put yourself in where you say you aren't something? Or do you always just say, like, I haven't learned that yet?
No, I don't put myself, I think growing up, I was put in a lot of boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Teachers at school, you know, my guidance counselor, I was like bottom of my class in high school and then totally killed it in college. So I think I was put in enough boxes growing up. I was the fat kid. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't that smart, like things like that. So now that I'm grown and I've raised a daughter on my own for the past, 18 years, no, I don't believe in putting yourself in boxes. I think the only thing that can hold you back is yourself. So don't get me wrong, sometimes like some self-doubt will creep in. I mentioned in my year in review that because my income was coming in like from all these different places instead just from merch, it kind of messed with my head a little bit. Like, oh, I'm not seeing, that amount of money coming in just from merch. So that rattled me a little bit, but I'm like, I'm just going to double down and make it up and balance it out. And then when I saw everything on paper, I'm like, oh, you're doing all right. So, yeah, I think you can be your own worst enemy, but I think you're the keeper of if you're going to stay in a box or not. So break down the box and tell yourself otherwise and just keep moving. So,
Do you feel like there was a progression of that thought process? Like, you were, maybe you were in boxes in high school, and then like over time you got better at getting out of boxes, or was there some kind of switch that happened where you're like, no, I'm not doing this anymore? Like,
having my daughter, it came down to, I really didn't, it was really just me and her for the most part, her whole life. So it really came down to, hey, I need to make sure I'm raising like the strong, badass young woman and just, I don't know, I guess just facing my fears. Um, that's really all I can attribute it to. Like, I didn't have a choice, I guess. If I wanted to make more money when I worked at the bank or to, keep changing jobs and like go up the ladder a little bit, it was on me. You know what I mean? So I had to do it for her. And I guess now that she's older, I am doing it for myself too, but she's still, in the forefront of my mind. So, and you could do the same for your dog. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
just whatever floats your boat. But that for me is my big motivator to overcome things like that. So,
Yep.
Aww, I love that.
Me too.
And I think it's so true that like you have to have this bigger why of why you're doing stuff and why you're going to face your fears. So for you, it was your daughter, but it could be so many different reasons why. But I think if you don't know why you're doing stuff, it's a lot easier to just get stuck somewhere and just,
true.
yeah.
Maybe like just throw in the towel, but I'm a big picture looker. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like that's like why I like stayed away from and like tiptoeing with infringement or staying away from parodies on merch because I'm thinking long term. Yeah, I see what other people are putting up right now and have been, but I want to look at the long term goal, and I think you can apply that to anything in your life. Like look at the big picture. It might not be happening now immediately, but down the line. So
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I feel like I naturally do that, look at the big picture, but I feel like most people don't. So do you have any tips for that of like how you can think about the big picture instead of just wherever you are right now?
um, I guess it's just a matter of my mindset is once I achieve one goal, I set something higher. Do you know what I mean? And that's just how I operated for so many years. And it's a trained behavior. Don't get me wrong, where I don't believe in just being mediocre. Like I wouldn't be happy if I stayed at the same level personally. So I'm constantly pushing myself to do more, to learn more, to take on more, because I know down the line, I want my daughter to see that in me so that she's doing that in her career. But also because I have my own set of goals. I want to just keep growing, I guess. So.
What do you think, Christina? You have anything to add?
Nothing to add, but I've got questions that I'd love to ask.
Go ahead.
So, tell us a little bit about how your processes have changed. So I know you're kind of like a one-woman show there.
Right.
Do you, and I think I know a couple of the designers that you use.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, do you still design a lot on your own? And, what percentage do you outsource? Do you have any VA help? Just kind of things like that. And how has that progressed over time? I'm sure probably at the beginning it was just you, but
Right.
when did you decide to start, letting other people help you out?
My first year, 2016, I didn't invest anything in merch until I was making consistently $1,000 a month. In August of that year, I found Adam, a t-shirt fellow, and he didn't have all the fancy bells and whistles website or anything like that. And I had purchased I don't even know how I found him. I think he commented on a post somewhere, and he did 100 designs for me. And that was really like the start of outsourcing. And they were great designs. So I started working with him closely, going forward. But with the exception of 2018, I definitely say I was about 70 to 80% my own, and then outsourcing the rest to Adam, and then eventually Kasim as well. And this past year, I probably outsourced, God, probably 60% of my work because I had so much going on between Etsy and KDP, plus merch, trying to rebuild my eBay store. So it was like something has to give. So I did end up outsourcing more. I did have a VA, and she would do minor things like push things out from Printful onto Etsy for me, and then I would just go and get Vila and do the appropriate changes. I had her redo keywords for me in KDP. Never let her near my merch account, but I ended up having to let her go in August. She just started lying about everything, and I haven't had time to find somebody else to take her place at this point. I would like the extra help just for things like downloading fonts or doing some light research stuff like that, or administrative tasks, but I just haven't had the time to hire somebody and screen and train. So this year though, I do plan to, flip it back to what it had been with me doing the bulk of the designing and then just outsourcing minimally. So.
Okay. That's great. And when you outsource the designs to, let's say, Adam, do you give him any sort of idea as far as the niches that you're looking for, or do you just kind of let him sort of run wild and say, just give me what you got,
No, we work off a spreadsheet, and then I do a lot of niche work with him. And I'll tell him a certain phrase that I might want or a certain theme. But he and I work best when he just runs with it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Sometimes I'm very specific and I'm I want this particular design to have, this additional, graphic incorporated into it. Like if I'm doing a graduation design or something, where I'm a little bit more descriptive, like for high school, for college, a boy versus a girl. But for the most part, yeah, I'm giving them the niche, giving him the title or the theme, and then letting him go wild with the design. So, and we just work really well that way together. So.
Okay, great. And another question for you. What you don't have to go into details, but what sort of resources do you use for research? So, and is it the same when you're researching for KDP and Merch by Amazon, or do you look at different types of sources to research each one?
For KDP, I definitely use Google a lot, and I'm really drilling down to learn about that interior. And then I'm also drilling down to learn more about the cover and the niche that I'm going into, whichever customer, like depending on the design, if it's, floral, do you know what I mean? Or like shabby chic or something like that, I'm going to lean more towards researching that kind of information. Whereas with merch, for the most part, I'm pretty niche down, I'm pretty evergreen. So I do use Google a lot. I do use, excuse me, I use like different social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, just to really look at that niche, see if there's any slang or phrases or themes that might be new that I might not have been aware of previously. And a lot of it, I still go by gut for merch. I really do. It comes easier to me. It comes down to a matter of knowing what I have to design and then just kind of letting it flow. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I operate.
Okay, great.
So you do mostly evergreen. Do you sometimes jump on trends or focus on holidays or things like that, or do you mostly focus on evergreens?
I'm big on evergreens just because I want to be able to not have dry spells. I don't believe in January slump. I don't believe in September, like summer slump, because there's literally, especially with the t-shirt business, there's literally something that you can put up that can appeal to somebody 365. Do you know what I mean? Those opportunities are endless. Very, very rarely I will jump on a trend. I mentioned in my review that I really don't have a lot of time to pay attention to things like that. I did well with like the 2016 election. I did very well with the 2016 election, but I'm a little hesitant to go deep with 2020 just because towards the end tail of 2016, we're getting a lot of takedowns, from the campaign. So there's a gray area, I think, when you're doing stuff like that, that I'm just too nervous about doing personally. So evergreens, yes, I do holiday, and then very, very specific niche designs as well. So,
That's a good point to bring up with the elections. Like, I was wondering, like, whenever Trump is no longer president, whether it's this election or the next election or whenever, I was just wondering if I should just preemptively take down shirts. Because isn't it where if they're not president anymore, it's like weren't there takedowns of, I don't know, or what's your thoughts on that?
like I said, it's a very gray area that
Yeah.
isn't like a full set of rules out there as far as like merch is concerned in the content policy, how to exactly go about it. I received some takedowns like towards the end from like Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton. I know a lot of people got takedowns for Trump when he started like trademarking like everything. So I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know the exact rule. I would, I'm sure some of the other group leaders would know, but I don't. So I'm just kind of steering clear a little bit. So
I've been very hesitant to do too much with anybody's names, even with election stuff. But I know that's like missing a lot of stuff because election shirts sell so well. So it's a kind of a difficult balance. But I feel like once someone's not in the presidential role anymore or something like I think I'm just going to take down my shirts before they're taken down.
Right. Or just see how things are, like happen, I guess, for the first month or so after. So.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We're all learning this together.
You got it.
I do have another kind of a workflow question for Amy. So maybe you can talk a little bit, because I know it's hard to manage everything. You've got Merch by Amazon and KDP and Etsy, and I'm not sure if you still do eBay, but you might have that as well. What does your week look like, or how do you kind of make sure that you're focusing on each thing? Is it sort of separated by day, by week? Do you do blocks of time each day, or just talk a little bit about your workflow?
I struggled with my workflow in 2018. See, I struggle too, guys, just like you. When I started taking on, first of all, when I learned how detailed I really needed to be for Etsy, it like really started to soak up a lot of my time. So I had a habit of trying to do as much as I could in one store and then moving to merch, doing some eBay, and I was just spreading myself out too thin where I would find like just focusing on one platform or one store per day was ideal. What I'm doing now that there's more automation available, um, I am doing like a big spreadsheet for the month because I do use BookBolt Uploader, RIP for new subscribers, but where I do one big spreadsheet a month and I have all of my patterns and my designs and my like whatever interior I'm working off of set so that the weekly upload limit is 1,000. So if I happen to have, you know what I mean, that much, I allot it out. So I have those spreadsheets ready to go. And then as far as merch goes, I'm making a priority, like how much of my day is spent on merch. My day starts with eBay because I have to process my orders, and same with Etsy. I have to process my orders. With Etsy, for the most part, my two main stores are pretty self-sufficient at this time. I put in like all of the work that I possibly could this past year to get them where they are. Where now it's just a matter of, adding a couple new designs here and there as they become available, where I can shift my focus back to merch. But I'm just trying to use a timer sometimes. I don't have like this perfect A1 business model as far as how I spend my day. But a lot of it has to do with I know it has to be done each week. I've been doing this long enough and I'm really good at multitasking. So my day could be different every day, but I'm still getting the necessities out of the way that have to be taken care of and making sure that I fit in. Maybe it means working an extra couple hours. Do you know what I mean? In order to get that handled. But I do think that if you're making like a to-do list and you're focusing on it, you really kind of accomplished everything that you need to. So
Awesome.
Great answer. And Henry, I just wanted to address Henry's question. He was saying, like, when we were talking about election stuff, he's like, do you mean you put up infringing stuff? It's not infringing when someone's running for public office because it's a public position. I'm just saying when they're not in public office anymore, when they go back to being a regular citizen, that's when it starts to become gray area because the shirt is regarding when they were in public office, but now they're a private citizen. So it gets a little tricky, like you're referring to them in public office, but now they're private. So we'll see how Amazon handles all of that. But I was just saying, once the person goes back to being a private citizen, I may take down the shirts just preemptively because they're not in public office anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, and guys, I'm so sorry. There's so many questions and comments. So thank you guys so much. I don't know, Christina, have you seen any that
we haven't gotten to? No, not really. A lot of them are kind of general questions. One person did have a question about outsourcing design work, and do you pay per design? Or I guess the alternative would be, do you pay per hour? Maybe.
No, I pay per design, and a lot of times I'll even ask Adam to like do a PSD for me, so that I can scale it out. I don't know if he like does that for everybody. You know what I mean? We go back for grows, but I
that
like
might be
and that's a little bit more expensive, obviously. But that allows me to like if I am going to scale a series out, like maybe birthday or whatever, or like occupation stuff like that, that allows me the opportunity to do that. But no, I definitely pay per design. So, and the bigger the package, obviously, the better the pricing. So. I think that's true with everybody for the most part. So
exactly.
I saw if I do affiliate marketing, and what percentage of my income is it now? Yeah, I do some affiliate marketing. I got some slack for it this past year because I hadn't done that for the past, 3-4 years ago. Boss has been around, but
that's why I was so surprised when people were giving you trouble for it. I'm like, Amy literally like never did it before.
No, but I got a lot of shit for it. So I started doing it a little bit this past year because I finally realized, like, you guys know because you're doing it too, like the time that you have to put in to vet the product, vet the person, write the posts up, keep the posts like moving, answer any, private messages and stuff like that. That does take like a decent amount of your time. I'd say overall for affiliate marketing, like as far as my income is concerned, less than 3%, if that. I think I jumped on the affiliate train last year for, I know, like Merch Informer, the Etsy challenges and KDP challenges, but regardless, I still hold the stance that I don't let everything in. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's one, I'm very, very protective of the group in that regard. I don't give a shit if they're like offering me $300, in affiliate money per offer, if it isn't beneficial to the girls or to if it's shady or shicey, or I don't know the people. I do know the people, but I'm not really thrilled with their product, I'm not going to promote. So if it's something that I'm promoting, yeah, sometimes I am getting affiliate money, like $1.50. Do you know what I mean? Here and there.
I think people think it's way more than it ends up
Yeah, I
actually being.
know. So
Yes.
yeah. So I saw that question. I wanted to ask if I scale a lot. Hold on.
Yeah, Melinda was asking what is the best process of scaling, and do you scale designs?
Okay, I don't use a script. I'm not that techy. But no, it's a painstaking process. If I am going to scale something out where I'm changing like a certain line of text, saving it, you know what I mean, deleting that, moving that on, it's not the most efficient or effective way. The only thing that I might automate is that I do know how to do in Photoshop is just if I need to resize stuff in bulk, I might run it through, an automate script in Photoshop. So, but other than that,
That would be good incentive to learn Photoshop. I really want to learn all the scripts in Photoshop because it's amazing what's available through that.
that's the only script I know. So I think I'm going to have to dig in and see.
I would recommend it this year. Learn all about it because I know Photoshop is very powerful. There's a lot of stuff you could do
It
there.
really is. And the new version that came out, it's just everything's so much easier, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of things have been updated.
Teresa had a question too about what sticker supplier you use.
I use Spoke products. They're part of Printify. I have not had any issues with them. I know a lot of people have issues with Printify in general, but I found that their non-apparel products, including blankets, print very well, and I get very good reviews from them. So,
awesome. And it's Spoke, SPOKE.
Yeah. So I think they're the only current sticker provider on Printify as is.
Okay.
But I did have one woman who bought like, I don't know, 2 or 3 stickers from me and then came back and placed an order for 150. So that she's using for her business. So I've ordered stickers for myself that I just to test the quality. They're like a window. Am I running out of time? I'm sorry. They're like
no, there's no time limit.
Oh, okay. They're like a vinyl, like kind of like a window cling material. So
Nice.
very nice, very nicely printed. So Spoke.
Okay, thank you. I'll have to try that. I haven't tried them.
No, stickers are great. Stickers make up a lot of my sales on Etsy. So definitely look into it. So,
yeah. Oh, thank you, Melinda. We've been so focused. I haven't even been showing comments. Melinda's saying thank you.
Melinda's awesome.
She is. Everybody in the chat. We have such good people in the chat tonight.
Yes.
I think everybody in the community is great. I really do. I think everybody brings a lot to the table, and I think for the most part, everybody's pretty helpful with each other and wants to see others grow and such.
I do too. I know a lot of people think there's a lot of negativity, and I know there's some, but to me, it feels a lot less than a lot of other e-commerce communities.
Yes, so absolutely.
Yeah. Ecom Chicago saying thumbs up. Thank you guys. Yeah, that's one of the things I have on my list to talk to Christina this week. I'm like, we got to remember to say thumbs up. And then I forgot again. please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Give Amy a thumbs up. Amy, I'm so happy that you are on the show.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No.
So it wasn't that bad. I was pretty nervous, but thank you for making it a little bit easier. So.
Yeah.
And it's just one more thing you've pushed through.
Yes.
It's amazing. You're so inspirational. And I think that's one thing that like we forget is like, sometimes I, worry when I don't know how to do something or whatever, but it's actually encouraging for other people when I run into things I can't do and then I learn it and then I'm able to do it later. It's like, we're all just human trying to learn.
Exactly, right. No one's special. You know what I mean? And I think mindset plays a big role in it.
Yes. And mindset is definitely something that I am continually trying to get better at. I think like, I know I've talked about in the past, like I've had depression and all different things. But it's so exciting now because so many people just refer to me as positive and like a positive person. And I'm like, yay, I'm getting better. So I think all of you out there could learn to be positive, learn to have a growth mindset, learn to push past obstacles and, accomplish anything you want to accomplish.
Yeah, yes. I agree. And thank you both for everything you guys do in the community. I think it's great to have more like women leaders in these groups because it's not that common. So it's great. It's great. So, and no offense to the guys, it's just sometimes it's nice to see other female entrepreneurs like really trying to lift other people up. So, and you guys do an awesome job of that.
Yeah.
So,
thank you. I think
you.
it's been a really great last like 5 years or so. Like when I first started FBA in 2014, it was like very, very few women in any kind of Amazon at all. Any kind of conference I went to or anything like that, it was like very noticeable that I like was one of the only women there. But now it's like when I go to conferences, it almost feels like 50-50. Like it's a lot more women.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah. So guys, any last questions? Any last things you want to say, Amy?
Just thank you for anybody that listened. I hope I helped someone with something. And thanks for having me on the show. So.
I know you helped people and you help people all the time. And guys, if you, I think all of you know Amy already, but if you don't, she runs a Merch Girl Boss group, and that is linked in the comments or in the description of the video. And then there's also a Facebook page that's co-ed. It could be anybody on the Facebook page. So that's linked as well. So then you could follow Amy. Amy, do you think that you're going to do any YouTube channel I know you guys have a YouTube channel, I think.
We do. We just haven't done anything with it. Well, Amy and them haven't. I know it's like my channel, but I've never gone live on it. I don't know. I didn't mind doing my year in review. I think I just kept talking. So that seemed to work well at the time. But I don't know. I mean, it depends what everybody's planning to do this year. But it's a possibility. I prefer writing, though, more than anything. So definitely more posts. But
yeah. Well, if you do decide to do some YouTube videos, I think that would be very exciting. And we'll definitely look forward to listening to those. But of course, your posts are always so inspirational, and you've helped me and you've helped everyone in the community. So thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. If anybody's in Columbus or anywhere nearby, we have that meetup this Saturday. And then other than that, we'll be back next Monday.
Yeah.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much, Amy.
Bye. Thank you.